The caregiver crisis. Bum, bum, bum. How can you stand out in a crowded market with so many people, high demand, really needing those caregivers, but such a limited supply? On today's episode, we talk about that with expert Aaron Osgood from Empowered. Let's dive in. So Aaron, how do you set yourself apart in this caregiver shortage world?
So how you set yourself apart is saying that we want you to have more impact as a caregiver, and we're also going to reward you with pay. It's simple, but that's it. That's what it is. And when you go, one approach to recruiting that a lot of people talk about, but a lot of people don't always do, is rehires, going after and recruiting people that previously worked for your company and rehiring them. But when you go and rehire those past employees, past caregivers, you need to have a competitive advantage that you're communicating, that you're articulating to them. If you don't have that competitive advantage that you're communicating to them, they're going to just look at the email and be like, oh, it's just going to be the same thing for me. They're a great company. So-and-so was very nice to work for, but you know what? There wasn't a lot of opportunity. So when you go back to those 300, 400, 500, whatever that number is of past employees, past caregivers, how can you inspire them? How can you motivate them to come back to your company? And how you can do that is saying, we have unlimited advancement opportunity and upward mobility. And we want you to have more impact in the community, help us solve the caregiver shortage, and you're going to be rewarded through pay with that. And here's how we're going to do it. We have a partnership with Empowered, and Empowered is an app that you can download right onto your phone, and you can start building your team today, referring friends and family just by hitting the refer button. And you can push it out on Facebook, on Twitter, through email, through text message. It's super easy, and we'd love to share more with you on how you can do that. And that's a great way to bring more caregivers into this field and bringing caregivers back to your organization and giving yourself that competitive advantage that you can communicate to those caregivers.
And what would you say is the process in needing to do on a regular, consistent basis in order to continue to set yourself apart?
I kind of revert back to some of my previous experience of, I've owned a home care company, owned assisted living companies, but even before that, I was an officer in the Army, and I learned a lot about leadership and how to take bold action through the leadership structure in the military. And one thing is they call it troop leading procedures. It's a kind of a management leadership process cycle. I'm not going to go through all of those procedures, but I'll give you kind of a rundown of what that looks like. I mean, it starts with, what's our problem? What's our problem? What do we need to fix? And then it goes to, hey, let's talk about it. Let's meet about it. Let's create a plan. A lot of people get stuck in, let's create the plan. Let's talk about it. Let's have a meeting to have another meeting and talk about the next meeting. You got to get past that area right there, because I'm telling you, a lot of companies can't get past talking about it. They get the analysis paralysis. You got to move past that. You go into executing the plan. And then you take that plan, you execute it. And then while you're executing it, you're assessing, how is this working? What are the results? What results am I seeing? And then based off of the results, you assess again, how can I refine this plan? How can I refine what I'm doing? Then you start that cycle all over again. And when you're in that cycle, when you're doing that, you are going to see that you're going to progress as an organization. You're going to continue to get better. You're going to continue to be a better company to work for, and you're going to grow as an organization. You cannot get stuck in one phase of that cycle. And if you're not even in that cycle at all, you're probably going backwards. And to be able to go forward, you always need to be in that cycle. You need to be in that state of cycle and can't get stuck. You got to keep going forward. And then last but not least, going from that meeting and talking about it and planning and going to executing that plan, it takes something. It takes bold and deliberate action. And I'm telling you, as an industry, we will not solve this caregiver shortage unless we are taking bold, deliberate action that involves innovation, involves taking some risk, and says, you know what, we got to think outside the box. A little bit in home care at times, we're thinking inside the box too much. We got to think outside of the box. And right now we got to think outside of the box. So take bold, deliberate action. I just had a meeting today with Lisa of Home Helpers out east in the Maryland, West Virginia area. And that was one thing that she drove away in our meeting. She's like, I believe in taking action. And it got me motivated. It got me inspired as someone who does take action. And I'm like, this is a home care company that's going to continue to excel and go further, because the leader of that company believes sleeves and taking bold action and not just talking about it. And that's what we have to do as an organization and as an industry as a whole. And we got to motivate and inspire our caregivers to take that type of action. And here's the thing is, Empowered has set up a tool through an app for your caregivers to use, to where it's caregivers supporting caregivers and it's providers supporting providers, with the goal of growing your company, but ultimately having more impact of solving the caregiver shortage, which is what we need to do. To learn more about how you can empower your caregivers to build their team, how to create more retention and bring more caregivers into your organization, all you got to do is visit impoweredteam.com. You can learn more, see what we're doing. You can contact us right through our website. And we want your caregivers to feel empowered. So that's why it's spelled empowered with an I. So it's impoweredteam.com with an I. I'm powered to grow. I'm powered to have impact. I'm powered to make a difference. I'm powered to have more purpose. That's what we want each and every one of your caregivers to feel like when they're joining your organization and they're using Empowered.